Good day everyone, my name is Iro Musu here again on IR2 Guru Tutorials. In today's video, I'll be showing you this, which I made, some couple of days back. I was just thinking to myself, I never tried it before, so I wanted to know how to make a system that rolls a dice. But this is a 2D version, so there's no like visible dice rolling. It's just the concept of dice rolling. So here's what it looks like. When I hit the button, it rolls the dice on the first one, and then it gives you. So the total you have here is 4. If you click on the roller, you'll see you have 3 and you have 1. If I do the rolling again, you have 1 and you have 4. If I do that again, you have 4 and you have 1. Roll again, you get the check. So it basically just does act the way a normal dice would do. So the rolling effect is what you see playing there and all of that. So I created all these sprites myself in Photoshop. Not the best graphics, but it works. So I did that in Photoshop, and then I created a couple of scripts, the dice and the roller. Then you have this animation. I tried making a video for this initially, and had issues. It like I lost power, so the system went down, and now I have to do it all over again. So hopefully that will happen this time, and I'll be able to complete the video. So here's what I'll do. I'll create a new scene. We're still using the same assets, but I'm creating a new scene, and I'll explain how to use the assets and why we need the assets the way they are. First off, I'm going to create an empty game object, and I'm going to call this the roller. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm calling it roller, and I'm going to attach the roller script to it. I'm going to explain in detail when we get to this point how the roller script works. So the next thing I'm going to do here is put in like 6 images for my sprite. So one, you have to put them in order of what they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to close that up, and the next thing we want to do is create an image. This image we're going to bring it down here. I'm going to duplicate that again, bring it to this point, and then we're going to add a button, UI button. Now I'm going to put it, you can put the button whichever way you like, whatever design catches your fancy. And I'm just going to change this text to say roll dice. Okay, sorry about that. Roll dice, and that's how I want it. So let's call this the dice button. So that's the dice button right there, dice button, and then we'll have our images. I'm going to rename the images so I know what I'm working with. So dice 1, and then for the second image we'll call that dice 2. Now once we've done that, we're going to quickly add the dice script, which I'm going to explain in a bit how and why we need the dice script. So that done, we'll go into dice 1, and I already created an animator here before, but for the sake of explaining all over, I create a new animator again. First off, let's save our scene, and we call this play test. You can call whatever name you like. I just choose to go playtest. So now we have playtest. The next thing we're going to do for playtest is, for dice is, we're going to create an animation. Click on window, click on animation, and click on animation. Or you can do that key in Control 6. Once that's out, you select dice, make sure you're on dice, and click on create. For the purpose of this, we're going to create a folder so that we don't get confused, because I have too many stuff in the folder. So we're going to call this animation, and we basically want dice roll. So we basically want two animations, and we're going to create a new one, and we're going to call this one idle. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go to dice, leave idle the way it is. You don't need to do anything with that. Go to dice roll and select all your images from 1 to 6 and drag them and drop them here. Now the next thing you want to do is, I don't really know how to reverse images, like flip them. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drag them in one by one. So there you go. 5, 4, 3, 2. I left 1 and 6 because 6 ends 8 and 1 starts it. So just basically kind of like creating a loop. Now if you hit play, it's going to be a bit too fast, so you want something subtle so that everyone can like see. So I'm going with 12 samples per second. Yeah, so 12 samples per second, which is 12 frames per second basically. So you hit play and then you get that, not so fluid but visible animation. It works for me though. Whatever works for you, tweak this till you get the values you want. Now I'm going to close this, select my dice and open Animator, and the next thing we're going to do is make sure we set our idle to our default state. And then we have our dice here, and make sure to be on parameter, not layers, parameters. Now we'll go to our script. Now make sure you remove, if your dice roll animation is on loop, make sure you take that off because we don't need it to loop. So yeah. Now the next thing we're going to do is select our dice. Remember the dice script you added, there is a function there, and we're going to call that when the animation finishes playing. So press Ctrl+6 again. We're using your events, animation events. So add an animation event and then you hit select. I don't know why Unity has this ugly thing going on, and obviously I know why, but I'd rather my custom functions stay at the top so I can see them immediately if they do exist. Right now you have to keep scrolling all the way down, which is tiring. And now we select roller. Roller is a function in the dice. Let me show you in the dice script. So we have a function called roller. So this is Visual Studio community version. No, community version. Yeah, don't mind me. So this is Visual Studio community version, and basically, yeah, that's what I'm using because I kind of afford Enterprise or the other one. So here you have my roller.roll dice one function and my roller.roll dice two function. So basically what I'm doing here is checking if this is dice 1, then I'll call this function at the end of the animation, and if it's dice 2, I'll call this function at the end of the animation. Now this animation exists in this class called roller, which we will be referencing through the inspector. We're not doing it at runtime, we're doing it through the inspector. Yeah. So dice 1, so this rolls dice 1 gives you the roll dice 1, like rolls does the actual dice rolling to give you the numbers after the animation finishes playing for dice 1, and then this does it for dice 2. So that's what happens, and you have the roller. You're going to see these two functions clearly in the roller script, which I'll be back to explain in a bit. But first off, let's be sure to set our dice 1 and dice 2. Before that, let's take our roller, select our dice 1 and dice 2, take our roller script and drop it here. So like I said when I was explaining that in the dice script, we're referencing the roller script from the inspector, so that's why I have to drop that there so it knows, and then select dice 1 and set 1 to true. Obviously dice 2 is in 1, so you leave it as false, and that's all we need to do. The next thing we're going to do is click on roller. Once we click on roller, okay, sorry about that. And we're going to select dice 2 and drop the animation for dice 2 on this. So we're going to select dice 2 and drop this animation on top of it. Cool. It doesn't matter if it's dice 1, it's practically we just want the same image, the same video, the same animation playing throughout both of them. It doesn't really matter. We're good to go. Select your idle and tick off the loop time. Select your dice roll, turn off loop, select idle and turn off loop. Now we hit save, and now all that is left is an explanation for what the roller script does. We already selected all our images because there are 6 sides to a dice, obviously, so we have 6 sides here to represent the dice images, and then we have to feed in dice 1 and dice 2. So dice 1 and dice 2. So right now we're picking out the dice images themselves, and that's how we'll change the sprite to any of the sprite on the roller here, depending on the value we get. So the next thing I'm going to do now is open roller, so I explain the code. Now, this is not too much, it's quite simple for anyone to do, so let me get into explaining what's going on. So in our button, we would call this, which rolls just the dice 1. It rolls dice 1 and does set. So we're going to have to set our trigger in the animator. So what we do is we reset the trigger in case the trigger is already set, and then we set the trigger back again, so we have that. We don't have like problems with playing the animation. So basically we'll call dice 1, which is 1, the image, and we say game object, and we enable the animator to true, enable the animator component, and then we do a reset on the trigger for roll dice, and then we set the trigger for roll dice to trigger the animation playing. And if you remember here in dice, where we have the roll dice 1 function, which is triggered when the animation ends. Now you need to understand something. So this rolls the dice, this function right here, rolls dice 1 to trigger the animation, and then the animation in turn from the event animation event triggers the roll dice function 1. Now once that happens, roll dice function 1 is played, and right there when it finishes rolling the dice and setting the value, we immediately set the animator to false, because I noticed if you do not set the animator to false, then the animation just keeps whatever was the last animation and basically stops the whole thing from working properly. So what I do is I disable the animator and re-enable the animator when I need it. So we disable the animator and we call on the one dot sprite, the roll dice. This roll dice here is a function that just basically returns a sprite. Now the roll dice function goes through gets a random value, which is the size of the array of the images we provided in the beginning of the video, which is the dice images, which are the sprites you have here, 1 to 6. So the reason I did it this way, so I don't have to pick a number. I need everything to work together. So the same value I'm using when I pick the dice is the same value. I'm sending that value, which is the normal thing to do, right? I think anyone will do it this way. So I get the value, the current value, and because we're working with arrays here, which we're working with from 0 to the length of the array -1 to get accurate values But a dice doesn't work from 0, it works from 1 all the way to 6. So what I do is whatever value I get for x, I take that value and add 1 and set that as our current value, and then I return, because take note, this function is actually a function that requires you to return a sprite. So I return the sprite that we got from this random function. So if it's the first sprite, you're going to get, the 1. If it's the second sprite, you're going to get 2. If it's the third sprite, you're going to get 3. So here, when I say int x, I'm doing a round to int because usually, random.range usually returns values in floats. So we don't get floats, I'm using the matf round to int to return an integer value. So because you really can roll a dice and get 1.2. Exactly my point. So when you use this, you get a round value, round to int value, whatever. Yeah. So you get the value, and then that's basically what we're passing to current value, adding 1 to that, and then passing the exact value so we know which of the dice we have picked. Now this does this and returns the value for dice 1. So dice 1 now knows which sprite to set its image to. So we're saying 1.sprite, which is the image, and the sprite of that image we're setting it to whatever value roll dice returns. Now when we do that, we do the same procedure we did for dice 1, which was in the row, right? We take that same we do that same procedure for dice 2 in the roll dice function 1, because we want it to be called immediately after the animation for dice 1 finishes rolling and the function and the sprite is set and we'll have a value for it. We want it immediately to call the dice 2 and let dice 2 do its thing. And dice 2 does its thing right here. So we enable the animator, set roll dice to true, and reset the roll dice trigger and set roll dice trigger again. Now that then plays the animation, and the animation in it and triggers this roll dice function too, as we intended it to be here. Because on 2, 1 is set to false, so obviously it will shoot this, and that's why we're going to call this function. So 2 blah 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 does the same thing as 1. You get the check. That's basically what's happening here. And now let's go and see it in action. But before we can see it in action, let's go back to our script. Let's copy the roll dice, the name, so we can set it as a trigger. So we'll go to trigger and put that there, Control V on that, and now from any state make transition here, and then we're going to set our value to roll dice. So once roll dice is true, it will definitely come that way. What else? Yeah, let's go back to our scene, select our button, roll dice button, and let's just do it here. We're going to drag our roller into this point here, and then we're going to do function roller, and we're going to go to roll. Now we are good as ever. Don't forget to save your scene, and now let's hit play. So this should work right just the way it worked in the example video. Hopefully I didn't make any mistake. Yep, so there you go, 3-3. If you click on roller there, you see 3-3. Do that again and you get 1-4. So that's basically how I was able to create a dice rolling script. You could definitely clean up this script and probably extend the system a bit to do a couple of things, but this is just the bare bone rough way of doing it, and you can just push this use this as part of your game if you're making a dice rolling game, and it should work fine. All you have to do is figure out a way to use the values that are being returned to roller at the point of return, and that won't be difficult. If you want me to do a video showing you how to use this for probably a Ludo game, let me know down in the comments and I'll be happy to do that. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm done for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. The name is Iro Musu. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below and help us get to 100 sub. That will really be appreciated. If we can get to 100 sub before the end of April. I've been on like 36 for like almost a year. Just got to 40 in like 2 days. So I think there's momentum and we can really do that. Help me click subscribe in the video, click the subscribe button down below, hit the bell icon so you get notifications when I upload new videos, and please don't forget to leave the comments down below. Very important, helps me understand where I'm going to be taking this channel to. Once again, thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Oh, and yeah, an announcement. I'll be making a 3D version of this video, of this dash rolling system in future. So if you want to see that, don't forget to click on the subscribe button so you don't miss that. Thank you. Bye. Boom! Yeah, baby. I won this match. Why am I always getting threes? Boom! Double four. I got double four. Haha! I'll win this game. I'll win this invisible game, not in the window. Haha! Yeah, capiche, capace.